So the way that the healing of the matriarch, as well as the return, is showing up in my life is through occupation and the healing of generational. I mean, the progression out of linear generational gender roles. And by that, I mean who works, who stays at home. Because it's very malleable and flexible and fluid for it to be manipulated into this patriarchal structured out thing. Because I look at it like this: I'm a stay-at-home dad, so whoever stays at home has influence and anchor and grounding over the mothership or the vibrational frequency points. They are receiving the essence of these scattered fragments of the collective conscious and unconscious, while the majority external to the world are fighting over scraps and over stepped on scraps. Like divine feminine or whoever's at home, like fuck cleaning. You are the decorator and the organizer. You have the abundance and you make shit, make it look sexy, or you innovate it. You have the materials. Like I feel like in the time system, barter system, like people were trading from the home, so the home was a place of business as well. Someone can meet you, or you can meet someone. Like yard sales, how yard sales are thing. That's combining that. But anyway, yeah, whoever's at home has the influence, and it's like for the matriarchy that was, and shall be again, taking the not per se the head of the household, because people's heads get blown up all the fucking time. Masculine energies get manipulated all the fucking time. Masculine energies manipulate themselves. Like they say, women intuitively, you can be delusional or in la la land, but that's internal. Action oriented wise, you're not going to see them like Lilith, the original woman. That's going to be behind energy. You're not going to see them rattle or shit like that. But you can tell them that's rattle because it should be manipulating the external, controlling the external to match what is already fake, what is already a front, versus what is within, right? So, like I said, who is in home holds the power and who is out external is the work. Like, my opinion, my experience being in the military, I didn't really have a job for those 7 years, so I'm not jaded to like, oh, I'm slaving away, working away my soul. Because like how you start something is how you finish it, but in general, how you start, or some people are starting out, or developing, or fundamentally developing at the core, which is, I think, that's the program as well. See, it's not really, when you get to my age, that middle ground, you kind of are like having your own, you're through your Saturn return, and you're having your own mindset, right? But as you're upper in age in the years, they try to manipulate the social security, manipulate the retirement funds, shit like that. And then when you're starting out, like 18 and 19, you're getting money based off of fear. You got to have these bosses that try to groom you and things of that nature, and male role models, negative ones at least. And I feel like that's where it gets pigeonholed. But me, I didn't really gather those experiences. Don't get me wrong, like the military wasn't all shits and giggles as well. It's, the masculine leadership, that's more leadership based, and it's already programmed. But in the external world, you're jumping through different hoops and programs. So I'm saying that to say that, like, I didn't have that experience. So I'm not like ingrained to, okay, I'm gonna work out of fear to have this money, because if I don't have this money, or if I don't have this status or this product, I'm not a man. Or even beta males have that shit, oh, I'm not a provider, which they see as a man, which is, it's a witchcraft. But my purpose would be not using the skill to be like, if you're not useful, then you're useless. So not being useful or being misused by man, but being useful as far as resonating with the vibration, with the frequency of, I know this skill. If this system, when this system is falling, this skill is going to be used in any system. One system, it might be elevated, one system, it might be lower, but it's still a skill that I learned myself. And like I said, when systems fall, you can innovate, you can remix, you get with other people innovating and remix. And that's my whole thing with the purpose. But if you feel like, that's why men get so much love when they get home. I feel like when you get like, you expect massages and stuff like that, because spiritually, the man goes out, right? Be a slave to, it ain't shit. Like, really. If you are like worried about what another man thinks, if you're like, be a slave to that system, let them think they're working you to the bone, then come home to a queen, to a goddess, to a divine union, to your family, to your children, where the witchcraft and the sorcery behind closed doors is way more powerful than what external shit people think that they're getting over on you on. When you're playing the game, you're playing the matrix. That's why it's like, it ain't what you do, it's how you're doing it. If somebody's really delusional enough, validating themselves through a status under puppets and under puppets, other puppets and puppeteers, and you are governing yourself within a system that is uniquely yours and your partners when you get home. That's completely different to me. And I'll use being a slave very loosely. Let me get that out of the way. Very loosely, just for you think they were buck breaking and not letting you just have your status amongst your community because you were a rebel, but stepping away from that rebellion of the system aspect. Spiritually, you're setting up energy and vibrations. And if they came and enslaved people with the Bible, you think, or just with any indoctrination or belief that they took from some other man, but if you think they weren't smart enough to know what they were doing with the Bible, and they know that you spiritually, which if you're doing voodoo behind closed doors, you really think they were thinking like, okay, they're not gonna do that. I'm not butt breaking him, so he's not fucking strong in the household. They're not strong in a coven, or the masculine version of that. That's why they did that. But yeah, that's how I think the matriarch is healing. The person in the home holds the power, either rearranging, redecorating, soul cooking, spiritually cooking, not in the kitchen like they say, but cooking in the soul. And the man playing along as the mental slave, to come home to be empowered, up in rank. You could be a slave in the external world, rank at home. Which one do you want? Or you could be on the low tone pole and up in rank at home, as far as, type shit. That's what the divine feminine is, the healing aspect, because they want, But yeah, that's my little rant about that. I was showing up. I take 10 minutes to speak.